The Institute for Supply Management's annual conference is fast approaching. On May 6th, thousands of industry professionals will gather in Nashville, Tennessee to network, exchange best practices, and discuss emerging trends. Here at Source One, we're getting ready for the year's premier supply management conference with our new series, ISM2018 Session Insights. Tune in every week to hear our experts discuss the topics that promise to dominate the conversation at this year's conference.
So Jen, you've argued that category management could be the next stage in the strategic evolution of procurement. Before we dive in, could you describe the evolution of procurement thus far?
Absolutely. In years past, procurement was seen strictly as a tactical function, meaning that their role is primarily processing purchase orders and basically ensuring that goods and services are procured. It's in the name, right? Unfortunately, that stigma is still very prevalent in organizations today. However, many organizations have experienced a transition from this reactive buying to a more sophisticated strategic sourcing approach. In some companies, strategic sourcing only covers a few categories, and in others, it's much broader than that. At the same time, many organizations actually find themselves having characteristics indicative of multiple categories. On the whole, the idea is that procurement is becoming a business partner. But that transition to a strategic sourcing approach marks a significant improvement in terms of cost, contract terms and conditions, service levels, internal process and management, as well as the quality of relationships that the company has with its suppliers. And that's because all these elements are considered before making a purchasing decision. While the evolution from reactive buying to strategic sourcing originated in raw materials and direct spend categories, it eventually gained traction in indirects as well, as companies recognize the value of taking a more holistic approach to spending their money. When properly implemented, category management helps to maintain the results of your sourcing efforts and continuously improve upon them.
So that all makes sense, but what exactly are we talking about when we talk about category management?
Sure. So let's actually start with the category management framework. So that's actually comprised of spend analysis and requirements definition, category strategy development, sourcing strategy execution, procurement execution, and supplier relationship management. So those are the core elements, really, the 5 core elements. And they touch upon both the tactical and strategic aspects of the procurement and sourcing life cycle so that we can make this concept more effective in a procurement organization. These many moving parts actually need to be working together. So the category strategy development, for example, is not one and done event in the course of the category life cycle. Instead, it's a jumping off point wherein the category manager within procurement and the stakeholder or budget owner set the strategy for a given period that includes a set of defined attributes, like suppliers currently use, products or services in scope, total spend under management, and so on. This category strategy then plays into how you actually develop your sourcing strategy, so one thing just rolls into the next. If the category strategy dictates that expansion into global markets is the approach, for example, the sourcing strategy then needs to incorporate the use of a global supply base to achieve that goal. Category management as a base concept is the approach taken by strategic sourcing and procurement organizations to reduce costs and risks within the supply chain while driving value within internal and external relationships.
So it sounds like it, all in all, provides a more holistic look at your spend. What are some of the strategic benefits of taking a more holistic look at spend? Does it go beyond cost savings?
Within a well-oiled category management structure, category managers are focused on a more holistic views of their spend and how they are managing their supplier relationship on an ongoing basis, not just during the sourcing and contracting phases. Again, the relationship development and management pieces work into the overall category planning strategy. As we all know, businesses ebb and flow depending on the industry and effects of the global economy. Procurement is one function in the organization that is impacted by these shifts more than most and needs to be more than just aware of these impacts, but needs to be able to switch gears at a moment's notice to ensure that the company's supply chain is not disrupted or at risk for exposure of any kind. This requires a great deal of agility and flexibility within the organization and its resources. To answer your question, it definitely goes beyond cost savings, way beyond savings. The value procurement can deliver to an organization includes hard and soft aspects, including compliance-related activities, risk reduction, and gaining access to supplier innovation, to name a few.
And what sort of support system is necessary for companies to develop sustainable plans for category management? How can a company work to build these support systems? And what are most typically missing?
In order for category management to be effective in an organization, procurement needs the support of its own functional leadership as well as the business units and cross-functional leadership. Management's role in creating a solid support structure comes in more than one capacity. Because they need to communicate the messaging throughout the organization for more of a top-down approach, They need to be fully integrated into the process. If the leadership team does not understand why procurement should be driving category strategy, they will not be able to communicate what they are doing and how it impacts the organization. Defining the role of procurement is critical to understanding why they do what they do.
And what skill sets are necessary for a procurement professional to become a true category manager? How do these differ from the skill sets that we typically associate with a procurement leader?
Skill sets for procurement professionals include hard skills like data analysis, technical writing, and value analysis, as well as soft skills including building and delivering quality presentations, change management, and cross-functional communication skills. Procurement professionals rely on apples-to-apples comparisons. They're at the very foundation of strategic sourcing. No one would dispute that judging buyers or suppliers with inaccurate data or inconsistent criteria could compromise any sourcing initiative. So when it comes to assessing procurement talent, however, such a rigid approach is far less effective. As procurement's role evolves within leading organizations, the skill sets of top professionals will likewise need to evolve, requiring hiring managers to look beyond traditional supply management position descriptions. Procurement leaders need to have a more cross-functional skill set in order to connect their business with other businesses in the organization. So they can benefit from having a finance background, an understanding of IT systems, and the ability to enact the role of a marketing professional in order to deliver clear and effective messaging to their peers.
So I would imagine that for a procurement team to become a team of category managers, they would need to achieve buy-in from leadership within their company. How can procurement groups work to communicate their value and establish the strategic relationships necessary with internal stakeholders?
I think it really starts with effectively collaborating with the businesses they support. This includes being able to speak the language of the business and not always starting the conversation around cost reduction, as that is a one sure way to scare people away. Additionally, it's important for procurement to market their value offering. Procurement is a service-based organization, and as such, they offer multiple support functions, including supplier identification, sourcing event management, benchmarking, needs assessments, negotiations and contracting, and supplier relationship management, all of which are aimed at ensuring the business can focus on running the business and procurement can do what it does best, procurement.
So once organizations have located the right individuals for the job, how do they ensure they perform to their full potential and commit to a long-term position?
Great question. There are a few key things to consider when you talk about retaining top talent. The first way is for management to ensure there's a clear path for the individuals and that there are conversations happening to support that understanding. Something I hear a lot in the recruitment process is how people believe that they do not have room to grow in their current company. In my opinion, that is rarely the case. It is more so that they don't have a clear understanding of their career path and how they can achieve their goals. Other ways include training and recognition programs. Internal as well as external training courses are a great way to keep procurement up to date on trends that can make them more effective in their roles. Training is also a great way to support the foundation of the career path and demonstrating how they can move from one role to the next by applying those training concepts. Recognition programs can work in any budget, from simply including a head nod in a company newsletter as to what procurement has achieved, to offering incentive programs to hit savings goals with inexpensive items like gift cards. Don't underestimate the importance of recognition in your workplace. Who doesn't appreciate a simple thank you? And this is something we can all contribute to our work